Well, you know, ugly weather outside makes this an even more pleasant sight. Why don't you step on inside the Dort Financial Center? We got hockey for you tonight as the Firebirds are back on home ice for the second of 3 games in 3 nights, and they're set to host one of the OHL's best, the Kitchener Rangers. These teams have done nothing but play close games against one another this year, so tonight will be fun for the Firebirds and the Rangers. Flint Firebirds hockey is on the air, and it starts right now. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the broadcast booth for tonight's pregame show, driven by Shea Automotive. Here to tell you this story, I'm Brian Gardner. We got the Firebirds and the Kitchener Rangers. Yeah, the Rangers bring their 72 points to town, the second most in the Ontario Hockey League. Firebirds playing game number 2 of a 3-3 stretch, and a stretch that looks like it might be a bit of a measuring stick for the Birds in terms of where they match up now in the Ontario Hockey League. So the Birds yesterday were taking on the Windsor Spitfires on the road, dispatched of them by a final score of 5-1 in a pretty commanding performance for the Birds. Today it's Windsor. Tomorrow from out east, one of the better teams, the Kingston Frontenacs. So Flint kind of looking at this 3-3. Of course, always challenging, but against 3 teams with championship aspirations as a way to kind of either make a statement, figure out exactly where they stand here as things are right now in the OHL with a little less than 1/3 of the way to go in this regular season. Should be a fun one between the Firebirds and the Rangers. They've played 3 games so far this season. 2 have gone to overtime. One that did not was also a 1-goal game, so it's 3 games decided by a combined 3 goals. Hoping for more close hockey and entertaining hockey tonight here at the Dort Financial Center. But before we talk about today's matchup, we'll dive in with what happened the last time each of those 2 teams were on the ice. We begin with the Sioux Greyhounds and the Kitchener Rangers on Wednesday. First period, the Sioux's going to get on the board first here. It's Owen Allard, and it's 1-0 Greyhounds. Final minute of the first. How about Marco Mignosa? Off the feed, there's the finish. That's a buzzer beater, and it's 2-0 Greyhounds. Second period, Rangers will get on the board. Trent Swick feeds one in front. Off the redirection, it's Cameron Reed, and it's 2-1. But the Sioux going to answer here. Brady Martin, bang. 3-1 the score. Not the last you'll hear from Brady Martin. Later in the period, bang again. Second power play goal of the second period, and it's 4-1 Greyhounds. Rangers going to get one back late in the frame, though, as they cycle in the attacking zone. Look at this smooth backhander coming from Matthew Lachar, and it's 4-2. On to the third we go, and in the third period, Jack Pridham the tip, and the finish as he beats Nolan Lalonde to bring the Rangers within 1 at 4-3. Then, trying to tie it late, long-range shot. Luca Romano gets the deflection, and it's 4-4. Eventually to a shootout. This shootout went 15 rounds. Chris Grisolia eventually to end it, and the Rangers win it by a final score of 5-4. Firebirds yesterday on the road in Windsor. First period, Spits on the power play. Anthony Cristoforo loads it up and scores. And the Spitfires off to an early lead. Now Windsor entered this game 18-2-0-1 on home ice. Firebirds trying to change that. Look at Sam McHugh. Finishes off the feet on the odd man there. Chris Thibodeau to set him up. McHugh with a quick trigger. What placement? And it's 1-1. On to the second period. Nate Aspinall with a bomb. Top of the right circle off the feed from Matthew Mania. Aspinall top shelf and home, and the score is 2-1. Birds later on a power play again. This time it's McHugh, his second of the game. Sam McHugh letting the fans have it in Windsor. Birds by 2 at 3-1. Off to the third, and in the third period, empty net for Windsor. Rylan Fellinger bouncing puck to the empty net. He scores, and it's 4-1, but the Birds are not done. Sam McHugh, toe drag shot turned aside, rebound backhand roof. He shoots and scores. That's a hat trick for McHugh. The Firebirds win it by a final score of 5-1. First hat trick of the season for the Firebirds. First hat trick of the OHL career for Sam McHugh. Our team comparison sees a Kitchener team that does an excellent job keeping the puck out of its net, largely due to its goaltender Jackson Parsons, but this is a solid team top to bottom. They can score, they can keep you from scoring, they'll stop you on the power play, they'll score on their power play. Firebirds' power play is improving after going 2 for 4 yesterday. That goal differential, yeah, it's minus 12, but Flint been playing pretty good hockey, been putting the puck in the net a little bit more as of late. See if that continues for a Firebirds team that has won back-to-back games. In the standings, Kitchener part of that top 3 that's really separated from the rest of the Ontario Hockey League and the Western Conference specifically. London at 75 points, the only team that has more than Kitchener, who has 72, but because Windsor leads their division, Kitchener sits now in 3rd place. Of course, the division winners get the top 2 seeds. There, the Firebirds sitting in 6th. It's really kind of a battle between 4th and 8th, only separating by 10 points. Firebirds, realistically, the highest you'll see them finish in the regular season is 4th, and that's about got to be the goal for the Birds, who are cutting into that deficit from Saginaw and from Erie. So the Firebirds and the Kitchener Rangers for the final time this season, 4th and final meeting between these conference but not division rivals. And as we mentioned, they've been good hockey games every single time. Birds 2 weeks ago were at the odd in Kitchener, lost that game in a shootout, did come away with 1 point. Flint will hope it can take both points here on home ice against the Rangers this evening. Hey, stick around a while. When we come back on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive, we'll get a look at today's lineups, our players to watch for both sides, that and more when we come back after this here on the Firebirds Hockey Network.
The all-new Shea Collision Center, designed and built for all your collision needs, in a streamlined process to make your experience seamless. First, you'll be greeted by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Next, we'll assess the damage for your insurance company. We'll then order all the parts needed. Production is next, with our highly trained and certified technicians. When all repairs are complete, we will clean, inspect, and deliver your vehicle back to you. The all-new Shea Collision Center. Your vehicle will love us, and you will too. Just Shea'n.
Here on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive, live on FHN, the Kitchener Rangers are in town, taking on the Flint Firebirds. The Birds trying to make it 3 in a row and trying to take game number 2 out of their 3-3 this week against Windsor, Kitchener, and then Kingston. Taking a look at our lineups today, we'll begin with our visitors from Kitchener, Ontario, the Rangers. This is a team that's pretty loaded top to bottom. They've got young talent. They have established talent. That top line of Humphrey, Swick, and Pridham, you know that's a good one. Adrian Miseljevic, always tough on the left wing. It's a good defense. The likes of Matthew Andonovski on the back end, and of course Jackson Parsons getting the nod in net for the Rangers. Why don't we look at our players to watch, and we'll begin with a defenseman I didn't just mention, Cameron Reed, number 27 on NHL's Central Scouting's midterm rankings among North American forwards, first-time draft eligible, skaters, first-time draft eligible, as he's a draft-eligible defenseman, was the number 10 pick in the 2023 OHL priority selection. Reed has points in 4 in a row, a goal and 5 assists in the process, 9 goals and 30 assists from the blue line, nothing to sneeze at. He has eclipsed the 2 goals and 21 assists he had last year as a rookie. Up front, we briefly touched on him on that top line, Jack Pridham. Firebirds fans haven't seen him on Flint ice this season. First time these two teams met up, he had yet to join the Rangers, as he's the biggest piece the Rangers added as a result of the NCAA eligibility rule change. 2024 third-round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. He was playing in the BCHL for the West Kelowna Warriors before joining the Rangers. He's a Boston University commit, and he has been spectacular. Pridham, goals in 4 straight. He has over a point per game, 30 points on 16 goals and 14 assists. That comes in the span of 28 games. Jack Pridham, the Blackhawks prospect, definitely one to keep an eye on here this evening. And speaking of the NCAA, this was a different one. Christian Humphreys. He left the University of Michigan, must not have liked Ann Arbor, after playing 10 games for them this season. He's a Colorado prospect. Now, the Avalanche took him in the 7th round of the 2024 NHL draft. Now, since joining the Rangers on the 10th of January, he's been solid. 9 games played, 2 goals and 5 assists. He had a goal and an assist in the Rangers shootout win over Flint on home ice 2 weeks ago. Now the Firebirds, as we get a look at the Flint lineup here this evening. Birds have Clattenburg centering Petrie and Kostov on the top line for the second consecutive evening, as the Firebirds haven't made much by the way of changes to their lineup. Hayden Reed jumping onto the third line, Matthew Wang on the fourth today. That's the biggest difference from yesterday's game against the Windsor Spitfires. It's Nathan Day between the pipes once again for the Birds. Getting a look at our players to watch, and well, how much do we really need to say about Sam McHugh? He had a hat trick last night. We just showed you that in our highlight package in the previous segment. That was the first hat trick of his OHL career. It was the first by a Firebird this season. He's played 7 games as a Firebird since being acquired on January the 8th. 7 goals and 4 assists, 11 points for the Toronto Maple Leafs prospect. He has fit in so well with the Firebirds lineup and seems to have really elevated his game since arriving in Flint. McHugh had a goal and an assist 2 weeks ago in that shootout loss in Kitchener. Evan Conyon with a different line mate as the Hayden Reed centered third line now. There he is wearing the full bubble. He did take a shot to the face in Windsor yesterday. Conyon's been good against the Rangers. 1 goal and 3 assists in 3 games against Kitchener this season. He's been looking good with 4 points. Well, he had points in 4 in a row before hitting a drought. Nothing in his last 3. Now, 2 weeks ago, he did have a pair of assists in the shootout loss against the Rangers. 10 goals and 17 assists on the season for the Rochester Institute of Technology commit. Conyon putting the puck in the net would be big for the Firebirds against Kitchener. And to Chris Thibodeau. Now Thibodeau, we're seeing consistent performance out of him. Last 5 games for Thibodeau, 3 multi-point games. Last night, only 1, but he had an assist and he was +3. Got points in 4 of his last 5. He had 2 points on a goal and an assist against Kitchener a couple of weeks back. Now, for Thibodeau, those 36 points on 15 goals and 21 assists, that trails only Sam McHugh in both goals and points on the season. He has been one of the more consistent performers for the Firebirds all year long. So it's the Birds and the Rangers meeting up here on a Friday evening at the Dort Financial Center as Flint hoping to carry that momentum from the big win on the road yesterday in Windsor. Firebirds starting to show off a little bit here as they're sitting at 20-22, 2-2. Birds in 6th place in the West and trying to make that climb a little bit higher on up the standings. See what they have in store for us against the Rangers squad that's been good from the beginning this season. As we'll take a break right now. This has been the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. When we come back, we have the starting lineups and anthem, puck drop, all that and more. After this, don't go anywhere. Birds, Rangers, coming up next on FHN.
There's not always a light on your dash when it comes to your brakes. Whoa! You ever hear that noise? Let me show you what could be going on. Wow, looks like it's time to replace those brake pads. Before this happens to you, come on in for your free brake inspection. If you need brakes, we'll even give you 10% off any brake repairs here at Shea. I'm Jesse Lopez, and that's my tip for the month. Come trust our process. Come trust the Shea service team.